My name is Token D Rock here with another stream. It is Monday, February 7, 9:45 a.m. Central Standard Time. Crypto market cap sitting at $1.087 trillion. Bitcoin down is 42.3%. You can see Bitcoin has come up in price, sitting right now at 23,600. ETH at 1646, BNB at 305, Cardano at 36.6 cents, Matic $1.27, Dogecoin 8.15 cents. Taking a look at the Dow Jones Industrial Average, we can see that we have had a nice decent candle to the upside, roughly like 200, looks to be like 200, 300 points, more like 200. It seems like we are coming down though, roughly about 100 points since the opening. Kind of something to pay attention to. This may just be an area where we bonk our head a few times and inevitably go lower. I mean, look at the trend, you guys. Things are not looking great. Again, we did find support right around 32.6. 32.7, but this does not look very strong if you ask me. Taking a look at the Bitcoin 15-minute chart, you can see that we did go as low as roughly 22.7 within the past few hours. Since then, the bulls have been able to drive price action close to 23,900, ultimately getting rejected, retesting these lines of support right above 23,400. Taking a look at the daily candles, things are not looking too great for Bitcoin. If we want to head higher, we do need to clear 24K again. No questions asked about that. 25K is also another figure we want to be looking for. DXY seems to be pulling back after setting in a new high right around 105.35. Again, this could just be a retracement after the massive gains that the dollar has seen. This dump that we're seeing could be a reason as to why stocks and such are rallying. Again, it's important to note that we are below the what is this, the 20 EMA. So headed over to Twitter for some news, digital assets news, talking about, yes, I'll go with that. This is the year just before Bitcoin halving. Halving doesn't mean price going down 50, mining reward going down 50%, which creates Bitcoin scarcity, hence a bull run. As you can see, year to date, Bitcoin is the best asset class so far, and it's not a competition. Stocks make up nearly a ninth, a little bit more than a ninth of the year-to-date total returns in comparison to Bitcoin. What if we used 100% of the brain? I could imagine Morgan Freeman saying it in his voice, "You stop buying Bitcoin." 88% of people supposedly want Bitcoin and Lightning payments integrated with Twitter. Those surveyed, we had roughly 36,500 people vote on this. Is Elon going to make it happen? People have spoken, Elon, make it happen. Again, that sample size isn't the greatest, but it's important to note that a lot of those people want Bitcoin Lightning payments. 80% of Americans believe the current financial system is unfair and needs to change, according to Coinbase survey. Bitcoin can make that happen. Indonesia to launch state-backed Bitcoin and crypto exchange by mid-2023. More and more adoptions happening even during the bear market we're experiencing right now. Good to see development happening. Over 20% of American adults own Bitcoin or crypto, according to Coinbase survey, and this is just the start of something bigger. If I were a state actor and wanted to co-opt Bitcoin mining, I would attack it as followed: liken it to a highly polarized and political topic, has strict regulations, i.e. the Second Amendment, surrender the argument that energy shouldn't be regulated and play their game. Kind of interesting take from Magoo PhD. We have SEC Chair Jesus Christ. SEC Chair Gary Gensler, Cherry Gensler, confirms everything other than Bitcoin is a security. Make of that what you will. Personally, I don't think this shows isn't a good sign for altcoins, at least in the eyes of SEC. According to RBI chairman, G20 members are considering a total ban on cryptocurrencies. Can this be the destruction of the altcoin market and the rise of Bitcoin? Again, time will tell. CZ Binance talking about remittance fees. He talks about how a friend of his told him that he sent $200 to his family via fiat, and it cost him roughly $30. You do the math, that's about a little bit more than a seventh of their, so roughly, like, let's just call it an eighth um, of the money that person spent. 30% of it was spent in remittance fees. Comparison to crypto, he sent $200 to his family via crypto, and he lost only a penny. That's the beauty of crypto. No remittance fees, none of that nonsense. Not a Solana hater, but this thread deserves a look. Yesterday, Solana had their 20-hour outage, just one of about a dozen times the chain has gone down. But why? All part of a massive design flaw. Break down in this thread. Go check out this thread. I think this is interesting. Slash, the reason why I shared this was because Solana has had outages time and time again, and that's not a great look for a protocol that you want millions, if not billions, of people to adopt. Alexander Lorenzo talking about how crypto has changed his life. It could change yours too. In 2016, he turned 7K into 100K, then lost it all because he was clueless and greedy. Last year, he turned 20K into $2.3 million. I know for a fact that he made a good chunk of that money by shorting the market, while many, many other people were saying, oh no, we're still in a bull market. He bet on the downside, and he was rewarded handsomely for doing so. Bank of England, um, according to the Bloomberg, says that digital pound CBDC is a big opportunity for business. According to Bloomberg, digital pound is an opportunity for coercion and control. Just say no. Don't buy into this nonsense. And with all the destruction going around the country, it seems like they're intentionally killing the supply chain for just about everything and anything. Will we ever find out who committed all of this arson, who's collecting on all the fraud? 3 refineries, all owned by the same group, up in flames yesterday. Yeah, nothing to see. Mainstream media won't report on it. Here we have Tulsi Gabbard talking about how Pete Buttigieg admits that there's over 1,000 derailments every year. Biden administration and Norfolk Southern just don't care, despite windfall profits for Norfolk Southern and a $1.2 trillion so-called infrastructure bill. They've done nothing to protect their communities. Lack of support for the inspiring people of Ohio is a further salt in the wound. The sad reality is that these politicians would rather hand over our hard-earned tax dollars over to people in Ukraine, in in the name of defending Ukraine's sovereignty. Russia. Here we have Pelosi being heckled in San Francisco like she should be, being questioned by the people who put her in office. Can you tell us why we have over $150 billion going to Ukraine when we have homeless on the streets in your own city? Seems like priorities are totally backwards from by the people in charge. Here we have a CNN report from 2014. The people of Donetsk were being brutalized and murdered by the Ukrainian government. Even back then, under Poroshenko, till the U.S. government swapped him out for Zelensky to continue the slaughter. Again, mainstream media was reporting on this the bombing of the people in Donetsk and the Donbass region, but now they're dead silent on it. They're not reporting on the massive uprisings and protests that have occurred over the past 3 years against the loss of freedoms, vaccine passports, cost of living, anti-war protests. They all ignored it. And the reality is governments and legacy media continue to turn a blind eye to it, because the second they give it attention, that's the second they give it validity, and more people will join the cause and be against a war. Why is Western media ignoring the anti-war protests happening in London and Berlin against sending weapons to Ukraine? Again, because war is extremely profitable for those in charge. Here we have 50,000 Germans came out to rally against Nazism, NATO, and arms supplies to Ukraine. Wet snow did not stop today's largest rally in Berlin. Entire families carried placards and flags with the words "for peace against Nazism, NATO, and arms supplies to Ukraine." Again, good to see people standing up for what they believe in. Here we have mass demonstration in Germany at NATO's Ramstein Air Base. Majority of Germans do not want to send money and weapons to Zelensky. Indeed, majority of Europeans seem to feel this way. Scholz and Zelensky instilled a war-torn Russian tank in front of the Russian embassy in Berlin to insult Russia. However, it didn't go as expected. The Germans placed flowers on the tank to pay tribute to Russian soldiers who lost their lives in the war. Total smack in the face to Zelensky and Scholz, as they deserve it. Here we have Germans throwing away the Ukraine flag off the tank that was stationed in Berlin. Rather priceless to see. Again, people vocalizing how they feel regarding this war. Make this make sense. Ukraine war news today. Russia fired 100 missiles. Ukraine shot down 123 of them. 3 got through and hit a hospital, school, and a nursing home. On the ground, Russia attacked the town of East Bakhmut. Sorry if I butchered that. Managed to gain 6 inches but lost 23,637 soldiers. 1 Ukrainian soldier sprained an ankle. Yeah, make it makes. And here we have Jimmy Dore talking about you're being lied to about Ukraine, and by the exact same people who lied us into the wars in Iraq, Libya, and Syria, and Afghanistan. America is the world's terrorists, and in some regards, that statement is very true. That last bit. Everything he says is true. You know, these are the same people who dragged us into war, whether it's Afghanistan, Iraq, Libya, Syria, the list goes on. You know, we try to act like all high and mighty, noble and shit. Oh yeah, well, we got to respect. Russia needs to respect the sovereignty of Ukraine. Well, what about Libya's sovereignty? What about Iraq? What about Syria, etc.? It's only they only say it when someone else is doing it. They never call themselves out on it. Here we have Hillary Clinton still calling for regime change, the surest way to provoke new nuclear escalation. She has quite the history of warmongering. Probably why she didn't win in 2016, if I were to figure. But that's a conversation for another time. Starting to come out. We actually did find Ukraine, but of course, we are the conspiracy theorists for talking about it. Stop listening to mainstream media. They are just an arm of the establishment propagandists. If you guys are looking for an unbiased news show on YouTube that gets straight to the facts and gets into the gritty details, Redacted, I would strongly recommend checking them out. They're really great. They upload a new episode pretty much every weekday. Again, if you want some unbiased, uh, straight to the point news, Redacted is definitely someone I'd suggest checking out. The U.S. Department of Energy now joining the FBI and concluding that the coronavirus likely leaked from a lab. It's worrying that the media en masse condemned the lab leak theory as a debunked conspiracy theory. Facebook censored people who dared to suggest the idea that the leak was the reason as to why COVID came about. Again, pretty interesting to see this development. We have more and more agencies, more and more people agreeing that it's very, very likely that COVID leaked from a lab. Here's some more damning information. Ladies and gentlemen, the single best evidence the United States COVID response to complete failure is that excess mortality rates persist above baseline more than 3 years into pandemic that killed less than 0.1% of the population, and that's globally, mind you. This should not be happening. The lockdowns, mask mandates, vaxes, mandates, all of it, despite all the economic damage and the social upheaval, has not significantly reduced the nation's overall death rate. Experts were wrong. End of story. Pretty crazy stuff. Singapore, roughly 93% of the population has taken the medical procedure, and they just dropped new data. It's rather devastating. Parental mortality equals stillbirth and deaths of babies under 7 days of age. You can see since 2021, we've seen roughly a 58% increase. This is rather concerning, if you ask me. What's causing this? I think we can put two and two together, but I can't spoon feed you the idea. Otherwise, the the algorithm, the powers that be, will take down this video. DC Drano calling it how it is. They didn't allow ivermectin because the money is in the medical procedures they're mandating for you. They don't want peace in Ukraine because money is in war. Yeah. Military industrial complex, along with establishment, they all make big bucks from the various war and entanglements happening across the globe. In a remarkable feat of anti-science commitment, the World Health Organization recently reaffirmed that it will join the CDC in reaffirming its absolute dedication to universal mask wearing to stop the spread of COVID. Can't make this stuff up. You really can. You know, we literally just looked at the fact that the lockdowns, the masks, the mandating of medical procedures did nothing to defeat this virus. If anything, we've seen excess mortalities rate higher than ever before, and it should be rather concerning. Redacted also covered how starting today, there will be a vote on the World Health Organization's CA Plus draft, which will ultimately transform the World Health Organization into a powerful public health technocracy with the power of a world government. This person's colleagues at Redacted Inc. have analyzed the document, and it's concerning. So essentially, 194 countries are going to be voting on the medical sovereignty of their respective nations. Essentially, they will either have the choice to more or less continue with keeping their own sovereignty, or they can hand that sovereignty over to the World Health Organization. In the event of another pandemic occurring, the World Health Organization, whoever signs up to hand their medical sovereignty over to the WHO, will, in effect, essentially give them any powers they need to control future pandemics and such. Here, I'll play a little bit of the clips to give you flavor.
Let's get into our top story, which is, of course, U.S. sovereignty being handed over to the World Health Organization. And this happens in about 4 days, right? February 27th.
Right. So over the next few days, the World Health Organization and member states are going to work out the details of this intergovernmental negotiating body meeting that happens on February 27th. And what they're trying to do is hand over power to the World Health Organization to dictate policies for future pandemics. The Biden administration last fall released a statement with the WHO saying, we see the need for this. We like it. We think it's important. We're going to do this. We're all in. This is called the WHO CA Plus, so that's how I'm going to refer to it. All 194 WHO member states are going to allow the WHO the power to declare and manage global pandemic emergencies. That means they could mandate lockdowns. They could mandate vaccines. They could dictate vaccine supplies and distribution. And they can monitor and put in place surveillance of entire populations. I'm going to show you the language because I went through the CA Plus today that hands this to them. Here is what the draft of this treaty, because it's only in draft form right now, here's what it says. Here's the vision, is that it aims for a world where pandemics are effectively controlled to protect present and future generations from pandemics and their devastating consequences, and to advance the enjoyment of the highest attainable standard of health for all peoples based on the basis of equity, human rights, and solidarity, with a view to achieving universal health coverage while recognizing the sovereign rights of countries, acknowledging the difference in levels of development among countries respecting their national context, and recognizing relevant international instruments. So, okay, that sounds kind of nice, but it's predicated on the idea.
Wait, what part sounds nice?
I mean, the idea of like we all get equal access to medicines that we need.
So, like, okay, sub-Saharan Africa that gets screwed, and wealthy countries get the medications, or they charge insane prices, or
Well,
that
we
sort of.
saw this
Right.
happen during the monkeypox outbreak because Africa's been suffering from monkeypox for decades now, and did not have access to vaccines. But as soon as Western countries have it, hey, here's some vaccines we can use. We've had it in our stockpiles.
Yeah, that's really disgusting that they're voting on that today. I'm obviously there's really not much you or I can do besides call our respective senators and congresspeople to demand that they do not go forward with this, because this is a massive overreach by the World Health Organization. But that's just my 2 cents. What do you guys think? Here we have Woody Harrelson calling out Big Pharma, which is honestly a drug cartel at this point. And he calls out their strategy of holding society inside for ransom, take our medical procedure, go back so you can go back to normal. Here, I'll just play the clip.
So the movie goes like this. The biggest drug cartels in the world get together and buy up all media and all the politicians and force all the people in the world to stay locked in their homes. And people can only come out if they take the cartel's drugs and keep taking them over and over. I threw the script away. I mean, who is going to believe that crazy idea?
Yeah, so a lot of people are saying it's rather interesting. I mean, Woody Harrelson is a outspoken individual. He's not afraid to voice his mind. A lot of people are saying this is a controlled opposition. They're just using Woody Harrelson to give us the illusion that there are people in the media, there are celebrities that think like us. I mean, it could be just a ploy to give that false sense of security, that illusion. But I think it's rather interesting that he did say that, and then he mentions how it was a movie script. After he smoked a joint, he read it and he thought it was so crazy that he threw the script out. Interestingly enough, we have we have this quote by what he just said: the biggest drug cartels in the world get together and buy up all the media. Here we have Rolling Stone, Daily Beast, HuffPost, Variety, all talking about Woody Harrelson's anti-vax conspiracies. How what he was saying was a C-19 conspiracy. Again, just bashing the guy. Trying not to give him any credibility, because we know all of these publications are bought out by Big Pharma. Let's not lie to ourselves. I don't get these people at all, says Luke Rutkowski. What brainwashing and trauma does someone need to go through to be like this? Here we have NPC saying the government and corporations are evil and systematically racist. And then this person, Normie, says, oh no, how do we stop them? And the NPC says, by doing absolutely everything they tell us to do without question. And the Normie's like, I'm not sure that's the way forward, but yeah, you do whatever you want. Here we have Canadian Alibaba Group President J. Michael Evans boasting the World Economic Forum, an individual carbon footprint tracker to monitor what you buy, you eat, and where or how you travel. That individual carbon footprint tracker, however, most likely won't apply to corporate jets, yachts, or emissions from homes greater than 5,000 square feet. This growing obsession with tracking people is worrisome and needs to be stopped. Again, they tell you exactly what they're going to do, and it slowly gets implemented over the coming months or years. So be wary of this. There will be carbon footprint trackers. We probably will be administered them. Each of us will probably have one at some point, but yeah, this is the next push by the global elite. Here we have them via CNN travel telling us why skipping in-flight meals could be good for the planet. Again, it's all about lowering your carbon emissions. Here we have the voice of right talking about how Trudeau has some very, very scary similarities to Hitler in the way he speaks and gestures with his arms and such. You could. I'm not going to say that he's like Hitler exactly, because he has, to my knowledge, not exterminated. He has not committed mass genocide, but he has some striking similarities, between mandating medical procedures for working individuals in Ottawa. For the truckers, he basically sees people's bank accounts over donating as little as $20 to peaceful protest happening in Ottawa against the mandated medical procedures. But yeah, some striking similarities there. Just leave you guys with this. This guy kind of debunks climate science in 90 seconds. I'll play the clip.
As an engineer educated in atmospheric gases, and as a business manager, I was responsible for hundreds of people's lives based on my knowledge of atmospheric gases. I listen to scientists, I cross-examine scientists, and I debate the science. I have never found anyone for logical scientific points based on empirical scientific evidence that shows we have anything to worry about at all. And the basics of this: when you burn a hydrocarbon fuel, you burn molecules containing carbon and hydrogen. With oxygen, they form CO2, carbon dioxide, and H2O, water vapor. That's it. Carbon dioxide is essential for all life. But let's go beyond the science and have a look at natural experiment. We've had 2 natural experiments, global experiments, in the last 14 years. The first was in 2009, when the use of hydrocarbon fuels in the recession that followed the global financial crisis reduced. There was less carbon dioxide produced from human use of hydrocarbons. And what happened to the level of carbon dioxide in the atmosphere? It kept increasing. And what happened in 2020, when we had a major recession, almost a depression around the world as a result of COVID restrictions placed by governments? We saw the same reduction in hydrocarbon fuel use by humans, the same cut in carbon dioxide output from humans, and yet carbon dioxide in the atmosphere continued increasing. And those who understand the science understand that it is fundamental. Humans cannot and do not affect the level of carbon dioxide in the atmosphere. It's controlled by nature entirely.
Interesting perspective. I think what he says there does carry some weight, and I do think we should take what he said into consideration. While I do think the average human does have a slight, very, very small effect on the globe, I don't think the carbon emissions output that the average human does is really I think it's rather negligible compared to the massive amounts of carbon emissions output by governments, by the military, by multinational corporations. I think they do like 95% of the polluting. If I don't know, obviously we need to look at the facts, but I like his perspective and the way he put that together. So that about does it for today's stream, you guys. If you guys found it educational, informative, entertaining, any of the above, please like and subscribe. Hit notification bell to be notified when we go live next. Please share this video with your friends and family, your loved ones. This is by doing so, you essentially break the algorithm. YouTube has to show my video higher up on the list of videos to watch when you do share this video and like it. So that about does it for today, you guys. I will see you all tomorrow morning, February 28th, 9:30 a.m. Central Standard Time. Until then, please take care and